Kia ora, I'm Erin J. Doyle. Welcome to my channel. This is just coming up 6:30 on October 31st. This is my last few hours of Preptober and I have to make a decision if I'm going to try vlogging Nano. I'm also taking a week off work with the plan of not just writing full-time, but writing 10k days consecutively for a week. That may result in instant burnout and a trip to the movies, but we're going to try it. So I thought, well, that would be really neat to vlog, but we'll see. I'm feeling very out of focus, I guess, but I'm going to try and just find a zen place. But on the upside, for those of you who saw my video another couple of weeks ago, I did a tidy up of my desk space. I've finished tidying. It's not actually much tidier, but at least I've kind of settled where things are, and made room to set up my tripod on my desk. In that video I showed I have a rickety $20 stool, it was a chair that didn't even have a back, the back never attached properly when I got it, so I just threw it out, rather than taking it back. So this arrived. So in my, oh god, so many videos to reference here. In my trick or treat truth or dare tag video I pulled out a treat card which was buy the damn chair. This is the chair. It has arrived just in time because I bought it and then my back freaked out. Actually the same day this was delivered, maybe 2 hours before this showed up at the door, my back had this massive out of nowhere back spasmy thing. So now I'm like, oh, I have this amazing chair that, oh, now I'm throwing things on the ground. While I was writing my Camino story, I created this Excel spreadsheet that I was recording certain information in as I worked on the draft. At the time I did it just to kind of help me with keeping things consistent, knowing when I had introduced certain information. But it turned out to be the most incredibly helpful thing when I got to the editing stage. So I would like to reuse the same spreadsheet for possibly every story going forward, but definitely for my fairy tale project. So I thought I'd show you what I've done with my spreadsheet. I may or may not actually use said spreadsheet. It may be that filling it in is too much of a distraction while I'm trying to do 10k days, but I'll definitely fill it in a little later. It might be that I do my 10k days and then in a rest period I'll update the spreadsheet or something like that. I won't be filling this in continuously whilst trying to write 10k's. But I'll show you what I've done. So what I've done here is take everything from my original Camino spreadsheet and paste it into a new Excel document. And then I've deleted all of this stuff to get rid of spoilers, which leaves us with just the general layout. So first I had a column for chapters, obviously 1 row per chapter. Then I had columns for the main event and the secondary event. Maybe it was because the Camino story was drawn from events from my life, but it was really hard for me to be really objective when thinking about what made a chapter worthwhile and what events were important. So there were events which in my journey were super important, but once I actually wrote them on the page they kind of seemed irrelevant and very deletable. So forcing myself to state the main event and the secondary event in each chapter made me make some hopefully better choices when it came to editing, so it helped me know what to expand and what to trim. I found there were chapters where I sometimes just couldn't identify a main event, but I might have multiple kind of minor events, so that's why I decided to have both main and secondary events as separate columns. And then I had things we learn about the main character, even though the events of the story are in many cases drawn from my own experiences, the main character is completely fictional. And as a discovery writer, I was figuring out things about her as I went. So when I finished a chapter and came to fill in the spreadsheet, I would put in the things that I had learned about the character in that chapter. So this helped me keep things consistent, but it also helped me notice when I had put in an important background detail, backstory detail, such as the main character, say, was married. If I had put that in one of the later chapters, I could see, oh hang on, this is the first time we've seen this, and I would know to go back and introduce that information earlier in the story. Yes, I would have picked this up anyway if I had sat down and read through the whole document, but having everything summarised in one spreadsheet made the process much easier, I think. I then had a column for world building. In the Camino story, my character was travelling every day, so there was constantly new settings being introduced. So this was a way of me, again, keeping track of things for the purposes of consistency, knowing when I had first introduced certain details, that sort of thing. And then I had a column for the word count. And then if we scroll down to the bottom, I had some calculations already in place where the word count for the entire document was summed up, so I could see what the word count per chapter and for the entire manuscript was. Then I had my target word count, just to kind of remind myself of where I was going. Here it's 100,000. It's now been reduced. I want to keep it between 80 and 90,000, so obviously that's a little bit out of date. And then I've got some calculations that will tell me the minimum, maximum and mean chapter lengths. I don't know if this is something that most people would be interested in, but for me I thought it was quite handy to kind of give me an idea of like the shape of my data. Then I had columns for the journal date and location. Because the Camino story was being pulled from my own experiences, it was helpful to be able to match the events of a chapter up with specific journal entries and also to know what locations were relevant. This basically helped me keep the events happening in the right order, and it helped me refer back to essentially my source material, which I guess was my journals, and also know from the journal date where to look in my photo file to find photographs of the locations that I was trying to describe from memory. So this was super helpful whilst writing a story that was drawn from true experiences. However, I think it's completely irrelevant for almost anything else, so I'm going to delete those. Next I want to insert a column for my point of view. Unlike the Camino story, my fairy tale retelling is going to have two different perspective characters, and I think in the spreadsheet it would be helpful to know which character the chapter is from the perspective of. That was a very hideous sentence to try and say for some reason. Okay, so I think the other thing I want to do is have things we learn about both perspective characters, and I want those as separate columns. So I think it's more helpful to have these as two separate columns rather than combined, because even if a chapter is from, like, say, E's perspective, we might learn something about M from E's perspective in that chapter and vice versa. So I think having the two separated out will make it easier later on. Maybe. I could be wrong, but I think that's going to be the case. What else do I need to change? I think the next thing I want to do is insert an extra chapter, because this book's going to have basically an introductory section, only like a paragraph on its own page, not a full prologue. And then we only have 26 chapters, so I'm going to delete all of that, and I'm going to make this the outro, because there'll be a concluding section as well. We'll just
return that. I love these extra dark lines when I'm working in an Excel spreadsheet. I find it easier to tell the difference between sections when there's a line like that. So that's all I need for now, so I'm just going to save it. When I was working with this on the Camino Story, I used these style functions to basically color code different sections of the spreadsheet to remind me of things that I had to come back to. So for example, if I had a chapter that was really, really short and didn't really have a main event, then I might highlight it as this pink for bad, so I knew, okay, this one really needs a lot of work, or something like that.
Whilst in previous 10k days I've just written one document that was all mixed and jumbled together, and I'd have to sort of dissect it out and puzzle the pieces back together later, I thought this Nano I might try and write in chronological order. And because I have chapter by chapter, scene by scene breakdowns, it might be helpful if the document I'm writing in, instead of being a blank slate, has that structure built into it. So I've created this document. So I've just called it the Fairy Tale Project because I'm not quite ready to share my title yet, even though my hilarious title is quite tempting to use. So I've just got that, and then I have, in the navigation pane, I can just jump between different chapters as I go. It's sort of almost semi-formatted. I don't think it's even really semi-formatted. That seems like too strong a word. And then I've already got my normal, sorry, wrong button. I have my normal font style chosen for Times New Roman, size 12, and I think I've got it set to, yep, double spacing. So yeah, we are all good to go for first thing tomorrow morning. Hopefully tomorrow morning I can just open up these documents and start writing. I may decide not to use the structured Word document and just go blank slate and not worry about the order so much, but I think I wanted to start with it and see how I feel about it. So I've got my documents prepared, I have snacks prepared, kind of. I'm not quite as prepared as I'd like to be. Today turned out to be a little bit chaotic. I don't know. So if you liked this weirdly chaotic and completely incoherent footage, give it a like, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye! Of course the framing changes, and I didn't want to have to do that with the light as well, and oh my god, my hair is flat. This is what we get for tying it up when we're straight out of the shower. On the upside, should I have to go out again, I do suit a hat.